Answering question, which is sharing a moment that marked a turning point when I sort of stopped waiting for permission and took power and control over my career and my work. For me, it really happened when I was decided to be a consultant. It's a little bit by accident. I was a mom of young kids. I was taking a break, I thought, from full time work and decided to go out on my own for a little while. And after a few months, a year, a couple of years, I started to realize that the ability I had to make change happen, the ability I had to control my own schedule and run things the way that I wanted to, that worked well for me and my family, and my ability to have really big impact was so much more from the consultancy than it was as someone working within an organization in the way that I had been. And I think it's really important for all women, young women, older women, everyone at different stages of their career to recognize that they have the power and control to take over their destiny and to be able to drive change in whatever way they see possible. And this relates a lot to the question also around what would I recommend to young women as they're launching into their careers. If I could go back in time and tell myself one thing from the beginning of my career, it would be to be comfortable with uncertainty, to seize opportunities wherever they might lie, and to not be concerned about a particular path in my career. I have had multiple jobs now that I did not know existed when I left college. That would have not have happened. I would not be where I am today if I hadn't taken opportunities to try something new, to go out on a limb, to sort of expand my horizons. And so I would encourage people to be open to possibility, to try new things. And also as a woman, when I first started my career, and this is a very different time, but I also think I wasn't always comfortable asserting myself or standing up in the way that I needed to in the workforce. And by taking control of your destiny and seizing opportunities for yourself, you're also able to make sure that you're getting taken care of and that you're not waiting for others to look after you. With new advancements and changes in the workplace, what would I encourage women, and particularly those that want to be recruiters or work in the talent space? Be curious as one thing, be interested in people. I think one of the biggest assets that we have as recruiters and recruiters who stay for a long time in this line of work is that we really love people. We love learning about their stories. We love talking with them and connecting with them. We love matching them with potential opportunities. For me, matchmaking is my favorite part of my job. Learning from an organization about what they're looking for in terms of the skills and experiences they want someone to bring, and then learning from an individual about what they have that they could potentially bring to an organization and what their passion and interests are. That connection between those two sides is what really motivates me. And so I would encourage anyone that's interested in being a recruiter or working in the space to lean into their curiosity, their interest in people, their interest in organizations and missions, and really leverage that to your advantage. Finally, when I was asked who inspires me at Agility, what women inspires me, all the women at Agility inspire me. They work so hard. They are so passionate and committed to the work that we do, to connecting candidates with great opportunities, to working with clients. And so I am inspired every day.
Where you stopped waiting for permission and started stepping into your power. How did that feel and what did it teach you? I can remember a very specific moment in my career that marked a turning point for me. It was a moment where I stopped waiting for permission and I stepped into my own power. And it really was a turning point in the way that I viewed power. And I remember it very specifically. I have been very lucky to have some exceptional female leaders in my career, Christina Greenberg being one of them. And we were working together on a board report search uh, about a year into my time at Agility. And this search really required me to voice my opinion to the board and make sure that I was standing up for what was right, what was equitable, make sure that I was encouraging the board to think from all perspectives. And the models of power that I had previously understood, been exposed to, didn't always feel authentic to me. And they certainly didn't feel authentically female to me. Many, although, like I said, I've had so many fantastic female leaders, boards in particular, I had primarily worked in male dominated board spaces. So there was a moment, Christina and I, we were actually at a retreat for our team. We were in Sedona and engaging in, professional development and team building. And in the midst of this, we're of course managing the search. And there was a moment we were sitting outside together and she just said, just woman up and do it the way that you think that it should be done. And it was this moment of sort of permission, of course, in the moment to address the search that we were working on together. And one of the first that I had worked on with her to handle it the way that I thought was best and to leverage my own expertise, but also a moment of permission to really think about what power meant to me as a female leader. And I did. I was able to, authentically in my own voice, with my own reasons, and I'm a very data driven person. So with, equipped with the data and, all of the values that I hold so dear, was able to speak up in a way that felt authentic and was able to affect the change that I wanted to do. And I'll always look back at that moment. I think of it frequently. I can visualize it as a turning point for me. And it's really been pivotal to me in terms of how I approach leadership. As a female leader, I would say taking up space doesn't just mean sort of physically. So I do think that's important. If you've earned a seat at the table, you pull your seat right up to that table and you physically fill that seat. Making yourself, the truest version of yourself, not sort of like shrinking back and making yourself smaller, sort of trying to disappear without presence. But I think what's more important to me is really showing up and taking up space in a way that is pushing your mission, your objective, your strategy, your goal forward. And so that means having trust in your ideas, having trust in the people around you to want to hear their perspectives and honor their perspectives and incorporate them as well. So, in terms of speaking, we're not over apologizing. We're not sort of waiting for permission, not apologizing before we speak or qualifying what we say. It's important to speak with confidence when you're advocating for your own ideas. It's important to acknowledge others, especially other women leaders who are doing the same. And it's important to take pride in the work that you're doing and own the outcome of it. And so when that's a celebration, owning that celebration and sharing it with those who you collaborated with. And when that's something that hasn't, worked out the way that you wanted or needs to be adjusted, owning that as well and modeling that. And I think all of this is so important for women who are at the table, but I also think it's incredibly important for women who are at the table to model for other women as well. I know that I grew up with and started my career with a male dominated leadership perspective and really felt that I needed to conform to leadership in terms of what it looked like to be a male leader. And it wasn't until a little later in my career that I understood that absolutely that was not the case. And if I had had models of that leadership even earlier in my career, and I've had some excellent models of that leadership in my mid and late career, I, absolutely would have benefited from it. And so I aim to be able to do that for the women that I work with. I think there's another piece to it too, and this can feel really hard, and that's just being the full version of yourself. So when you're taking up space, you're doing it with authenticity. You're taking up space with authenticity because you matter, what you think matters, your perspective, your experience, your analysis and strategic approach, they matter. Being able to be your full self while sharing each of those things is incredibly important. And again, really important to model as well. And the other piece about modeling too is prioritizing. So, what does it look like to prioritize? What does it look like to take care of the needs of your work or your commitments outside of work and ensuring that you're honoring those and modeling what it looks like to honor those for others as well?
Share a moment in your career that marked a turning point where you stopped waiting for permission and started stepping into your power. How did that feel and what did it teach you? The moment in my career that really, I would say, marked a turning point where I felt like I stepped into my power was when I made the decision to really pivot. So, pivoting from higher education to the work that I'm doing now was a really significant point. I had worked my way up to being a director over a campus, a very beautiful campus with beautiful humans and working with students, staff, and families. but something in me was changing and I felt like I needed to make a career shift. And as some of you may know, you can feel when it's time to transition. You can feel when it's time to make that next jump or leap, even if it feels very scary. And so, though it was scary because I had learned higher education, I love higher education, still have a love for it, and had worked so hard to get to where I was, it was something so powerful about letting go. It was something so powerful about moving back home to the South, given that pause that I love to talk about. And that pause meaning reflecting on what you've accomplished and how do you pivot and how do you walk into this next season or go into this next season. And that felt like I was stepping into my power, not being bound by any one thing or, just going along with what others thought that I should be doing. And I really think that it's a powerful time when a woman can take that leap and go into something that may be unfamiliar, but that she's feeling that like tug and continuous tug at her to accomplish. And I felt that it taught me that describe a moment when a colleague at Agility Search honored your voice in a way that helped to positively affect the engagement or your own confidence as a professional in your field. I'll have to shout from the rooftops, Hadley. Hadley is my current supervisor, and from the moment that I met her to today, she has made me feel like my voice matters in a way that helps me go and be great with confidence and want to do my job even better. Hadley's just good at training. She's good at developing. She's good at making sure that you feel comfortable in the systems and in the practice of what we do. And it's unmatched. There was a moment in time in where I was doing something that I felt was natural, but she paused and affirmed me to let me know, like, this part of you, Roz, is a skill and it is important. And just to let me know that she sees me. And oftentimes I think we think of ourselves as, okay, this is a normal part of me. This isn't exceptional. This isn't an exception to the rule. This isn't something that is unique about me. That is a value add to a team or to humans in general. Until someone calls it out, it's good to hear it back and to be affirmed and to present it, to have it be presented to you in a way that is meaningful. And it helps remind yourself, like, wow, you are part of greater work, doing great work yourself. And it gives you another level of confidence just to continue this work and to understand that we all have our talents and our superpowers. And though it may feel normal to us or like, no, this isn't unique about me, it absolutely is. And Hadley just does an excellent job at doing that on a regular basis, but it's a natural skill of her own and a natural superpower of Hadley's. What does the phrase women owned, women led mean to you, and why is it important? Women, we're the boss of the universe. I mean, I think of the song by Beyonce, Who Run the World? Girls, because we do. And we do it so well that you wouldn't even know the work or the time or the effort that we put into just being coworkers, being colleagues, being CEOs, being leaders, being mothers, being support systems, being sisters, being daughters. I mean, to have and be a part of an organization that's not only owned but led by women, it brings an extra boost of energy. It brings the energy to want to do your best, to want to collaborate, to want to support one another. And as we know, though, if the world supported each other the way women have the ability to support and show up for not only each other but for everyone else, um, then we would be in such a good place. And I believe this wholeheartedly that being a part of something that's women owned and women led, it's everything. It's strategy, it's leadership, it's quiet moments of listening, but even louder moments of ensuring that your voice is heard. And it's advocating, it's advocacy in this world where we need it the most. And especially in this work, it's being able to show up in rooms and be in the room where it happens and uplift names in the rooms where it happens. I'm very blessed and very honored to be a part of a woman-owned and a woman-led team of bosses like I am at Agility Search. And my mom is someone who embodies that idea of taking up space. She's pretty fearless, and she taught me to be that way for better or worse. She named me Taylor because she didn't want me to be ruled out of any jobs because I had a female name. So she was sort of already thinking about how I could take up space since I was born. So I'm proud to be Taylor and I'm proud to be her kid. In terms of making sure that exceptional candidates are considered without bias, I mean, we keep our process standardized for a reason, but I also believe there's more to a person than their resume. And so there will be times when I invite a person to like a 15-minute call just to get to know them, to say hello, and to learn more about their story. I think oftentimes we assume things about folks, and I think sometimes that doesn't translate well across lines of difference. And so it's important to me to, pick up the phone, call someone and say, hey, tell me who you are. Tell me what you're doing now and why you're looking to move on and learn more about the story from their perspective.
If you could spotlight one woman at Agility Search whose work quietly creates lasting change, who would it be and why? And for me, I'm choosing Emma Tat. She is just, she is exactly like this question states. She is a quiet force. And not just for myself, but for other members of our team, we could not get the work done that we do in as efficient a way or as detail oriented a way as we could without her support. And she's just such a joy to work with. She embodies, I would call this quiet force. She literally is in the background doing all the back office detailed support, keeping us on track of our timelines and all the things that we need to do to get this work done. And she's just such a joy to work with. From the moment I turn on a Zoom meeting with her, she's always smiling and always a joy. I have more recently seen her really sort of jumping in and even during meetings, providing suggestions. And I always feel like she's two steps ahead of me and she knows exactly what I'm going to ask for or what I need. And so again, she is basically making lasting change, not just for myself, but everyone on this team. Okay, if you could go back in time and tell yourself one thing at the beginning of your career, what would it be? And I've thought about this question before. I thought that this one was very interesting. And I've often thought that if I could tell my younger self to be more confident in myself, in my own voice, and to not be afraid to either push back or to question authority or question my supervisors, or again, in a loving way. I just wish that I had had more confidence in myself to do that, or at least had others around me to give me that confidence. And so that's what I would tell my younger self if I was at the beginning of my career again. I would definitely tell myself to lean in more and just go with how I'm feeling and just trust myself. That would be the biggest piece of advice I would give myself. And then I have one more question that I wanted to do. And I actually thought that this really spoke to me. This was about benefits for women. How do you think organizations could support women better? What is your hope for the future of work benefits, culture, expectations, etc.? And this question spoke to me because I remember specifically when I was having my first child and going through the pregnancy and then afterwards the maternity leave. I feel like this is an area of a huge amount of growth for organizations and not just I mean organizations and this country in general. The way they view maternity leaves and the bonding time with a newborn for young mothers. I know I've seen models and examples of how European countries provide a year off for their employees, for mothers to bond with their children. And I just think for a country of our wealth and giving the the resources that we have in this country, I still to this day find it surprising that we don't provide the kind of supports for not just mothers, but fathers as well, maternity, paternity leave. So I do hope that in the future, that future parents will be able to have longer leaves, more opportunities, and more supports and resources around being young parents because it's such an overwhelming time. It's such an exciting time for a young couple and a young family. And I do think there's that special bonding time between the parents and their young infant. And so I do think that's time you never get back with any of your children. So I do hope that there are better benefits for young families in the future.
Who at Agility has shown you what it looks like to lead with both strength and humanity? And what specifically have you learned from watching them? I would say Christina Greenberg, our CEO, has really shown this to me. Christina leads with humanity. She understands that everyone is human, that mistakes can be made. She also understands the importance of having a personal life. She has a husband and 2 kids herself. So she understands the pressure of having a full-time job and trying to create space and have time for your family as well. I just really appreciate that she thinks about those things and she appreciates those and makes sure that everyone else has time for that. And then she leads with strength as well. Something about Christina is I always just picture her as a very strong female leader. She is firm, she's kind, she is a great person to follow. I have really enjoyed my time here at Agility. Something that Christina has really done has been to show me what it means and what it can look like to be a female in a career in a leading industry and in a leading company. And she's not afraid to take up space. She's not afraid to be a leader within those spaces. So it's been great to watch that. My second question: describe a moment when a colleague at Agility Search honored your voice in a way that helped to positively affect the engagement or your own confidence as a professional in your field. This happened, I think, maybe a year and a half ago. I can't remember. But I was just getting into my operations management position, and I had just moved over to report to Hadley Kornacki. And I let her know that I wanted to jump on projects with her or potentially lead projects with her to gain a little bit more practice and to cultivate that skill in myself, as I had not had a lot of that opportunity. And we fortunately were looking into a new software system, and Hadley just gave me the full reins to kind of step into that and to lead that project. She took my voice as the project lead, even though she was helping me on things and was always there for a discussion or for a call if I needed to. She let me lead it, and she let me grow into that strength and into that project management skill that I was hoping for. And it just really kind of showed me and helped me find my own voice for leading projects and kind of taking things to the next step.